Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to our cozy little corner of the internet. I'm Pen and today I'll be reading The Life We Could Have Lived, This Life Was Made For Us by Zena Lemon. This is the final chapter and it is so fluffy. It's ridiculously too fluff. Just so you know, a few months have passed by from the last chapter, and oh my gosh, it is amazing. I absolutely love it. Oh, and also just a little bit of warning of Chuuya being drunk, just in case any of you are triggered by people being drunk, or if you're a secret alcoholic and I don't know, if you're triggered by people being drunk and it reminds you that you haven't drank alcohol today, please don't. But anyway, make sure to take care of yourself, and let's get right into this last chapter of the fic. Chapter 13, Epilogue. People leisurely walking down the street, the small ring of store and cafe doors being open. The sun coming close to the horizon, casting a warm glow on everything it saw. To Dazai, they were just observations, something for his mind to accept as fact and nothing more. But that didn't stop him from searching for that calm feeling he felt before. The feelings no longer human took from him again. Dazai had just left the agency, completing his day's worth of annoying Kunikita and slacking off. He walked along the sidewalk, hands in his coat. He had travelled the path enough times to allow him to go on autopilot, taking in his surroundings. Every day he walked his recently rerouted path from work, hoping that one day he'd get something other than an observation. It would be a miracle, but Dazai still dreamed. It had been a few months since Dazai had moved in with Chuuya. No one actually knew about their housing arrangement. They hadn't told anyone about their relationship. For safety, they agreed, though it was fun to mess with the office, showing up with a single bandage array, just enough to see a darker spot on his neck was visible. Kunikita almost had a heart attack when Atsushi innocently asked if he hurt himself, drawing attention to the previous night's reenactment. Chuuya was not happy, but at least Dazai got a laugh out of it. Thinking about Chuuya seemed to bring something out of Dazai. There was something sweet about the fact that Dazai's love for Chuuya was strong enough that not even No Longer Human could keep Dazai from feeling it. He would always get that spark around the redhead. He just couldn't show how strong it was, and Chuuya knew this. Dazai deeply appreciated Chuuya's understanding of his emotional limits. At first, Dazai was afraid of hurting Chuuya because he couldn't fully express his feelings. Chuuya would expect more than what Dazai could give him and end up feeling betrayed. And betraying Chuuya was the last mistake Dazai wanted to repeat. And yet, Chuuya had reassured Dazai that he only needed him to stay. That alone would be enough to show him what was left unsaid, so stay he did. Dazai would still do everything he could to show Chuuya how he felt. He would let Chuuya vent about a bad day, hold him as close as he could when they slept. Hell, he even moved in with him. But the most noticeable thing was just falling back into their old rhythm, heading down to the arcade on their days off, bantering with each other like normal, just with a slightly less amount of bite behind each word. It was enough, because even if Dazai couldn't say it, Chuuya knew and trusted him with every unsaid word that he threw back at him. Dazai found himself in front of the apartment door, inserting the key into the keyhole as he twisted the handle. It felt weird to enter Chuuya, and technically Dazai's, space normally. It was one of the first times Dazai didn't have to break in, pick a lock, or climb through the window. He had a key. He was welcomed. He was loved. Dazai entered the apartment as the smell of whatever Chuuya was making filled his senses. The apartment was gigantic compared to his admittedly sad dorm Dazai used to live in. It was nice to enter a space that wasn't filled with takeout boxes and empty bottles. Dazai never felt like he needed to clean his old space. He would be the only one who would be there, and he didn't care, so why would he need to? Living with Chuuya at least kept him accountable. He could say the cleaner space did make him feel better, trying to keep his mind as arranged as the living quarters. That's one more thing that Chuuya had done for Dazai. A good thing Chuuya has done for Dazai to add to the list. God, Dazai didn't deserve this man. There were quite a lot of changes Chuuya made to Dazai's life when they started dating. Of course, there were things to his schedule and living situation, but his mental and physical health fairly improved as well. About 1 week into the relationship, Kunikita was already questioning him. "What you making?" Dazai slipped his arms around Chuuya's waist as the redhead stirred some sauce and mushrooms around in a pan. "I wanted to use up those chicken breasts in the fridge, and I decided to try a new recipe." Chuuya absentmindedly stirred with the wooden spoon, nodding to the ingredients on the counter. Dazai turned to the assortment of herbs and vegetables, notably the open wine bottle. "Is the wine included, or could you just not wait to drink?" Dazai joked, earning a small jab to his side. "It adds flavour," Chuuya defends, which it does. Just out of the fic, it does add flavour, and when you cook it, it renders it down and takes out the alcohol. But don't trust me on that. Just saying. Okay, it adds flavour, Chuuya defended. And you can't even cook, so don't complain about what I make. Plus, I know your lanky ass didn't eat lunch today. You're eating this whether you like it or not." Dazai groaned as he buried his head into the redhead's neck. "How do you know?" "It was your friend, that friend of yours, Kunikita, I believe, complained to me about it." Chuuya laughed. Dazai's eyes went wide. "Oh no. Why were you talking to each other?" He laughed nervously. The last thing he wanted was for Chuuya and Kunikita to meet. They had one major thing in common, and that's being the victim of Dazai's antics. If they were talking, they'll definitely team up against him. Dazai shuddered. "Oh," Chuuya started, like it was just some everyday story, but judging by the smirk on his face, he knew what Dazai was thinking. "I bumped into him at the store today. He immediately came up to make sure I wasn't going to destroy the hard-working business, because apparently I can't just buy groceries. After realizing I had no ill intent, he apologized and started to go off about how stressful his stay was." Chuuya knowingly looked at Dazai. "You were quite the main character." Dazai groaned. "This is my worst nightmare." Chuuya chuckled before putting on a more serious face. Dazai noticed immediately in the change of atmosphere and straightened. He cares about you. He cares about you, you know. They all do. Those agency members." Chuuya assured the brunette, rubbing his thumb over Dazai's knuckles. "I know," Dazai sighed. "It's just hard. I knew I was different before, but it's just so much more obvious. But now it's so much more obvious. You're doing your best, and that's all that matters." Dazai smiled. "Thanks, Chuuya. What would I do without you?" "Probably die, considering how much I have to feed you," Chuuya joked, lightening the atmosphere. "You're fattening me up on purpose. You're lucky I walk to work and back. Oh please, you're practically skin and bones before I started forcing you to eat 3 meals a day. It's healthy that you got some weight on you. Plus, you're much more fun to cuddle like this," Chuuya defended, slipping his arms around the brunette. "Well, I guess I can accept that excuse," Dazai mumbled as he hugged Chuuya back, resting his chin on the redhead's curls. He could smell some overpriced shampoo Chuuya used. Another thing Chuuya positively changed in his routine, getting Dazai to actually take care of his hair. He couldn't deny that he was purposefully acting like he didn't know how to effectively shampoo his hair, so Chuuya would take it upon himself to help him. He liked how the redhead's firm but well-taken hands massaged his head. Sadly, their embrace didn't last as long as Chuuya didn't last long as Chuuya suddenly pulled away. Ah, shit, the sauce. Chuuya turned back to the stove and turned the burner down. He stepped back, grabbing a bit, and as he pulled the chicken out of the oven. As much as Dazai loved to procrastinate everything, including basic necessities, he absolutely adored Chuuya's cooking. Something about it gave him this content feeling that just barely made its way past the barrier of no longer human. Chuuya started to plate the food, using a spoon to pour the sauce over the chicken. Dazai tried to whine about how Chuuya was trying to overfeed him, but the redhead just ignored him. The food did look really good. He knew Dazai wasn't actually complaining. Chuuya handed Dazai his plate as they brought their food to the table. Chuuya already had a glass of white wine near his seat. Is Chibi seriously drinking wine of this? Didn't you put some in the food? Dazai half teased, half questioned. Cooking the wine gets rid of the alcohol and it leaves flavour. Boom! Yes, I knew it. Plus, I'll only have one glass, Chuuya defended. Well, one glass was quickly emptied and refilled, and then another, and by the end of the meal, Chuuya was visibly more than just tipsy. Dazai rested his chin on his hand as Chuuya rambled. Something about how Chuuya acts when he was drunk was so endearing. But Chuuya's little TED talk was cut short when a meticulous knock ran through the apartment. Chuuya shot out of his seat, stumbling to the door. I'll get it. Dazai tried to grab the redhead, but his caught off guard hand barely grazed his shirt, allowing Chuuya to get to the door. Chuuya swung the door open revealing a very surprised Octogawa. Octogawa, how are you, my boy? Chuuya slurred through his words. Ah, Chuuya-san, seems like I've come at a bad time. Octogawa awkwardly backed away, clutching the file he was supposed to deliver. No, not at all. Chuuya grabbed Octogawa's arms. Want to see my boyfriend? Damn it, Chibi. Excuse me? Octogawa questioned, shocked as he gets dragged into the kitchen by the redhead. None at all. He's a real fishy bastard. But I still love him. Chuuya continued to slur throughout his words as Dazai tries to hide. You have no idea. You don't realize how few hiding spots there are in a kitchen until you really need one. And Dazai really needs one right now. Dazai ends up diving underneath the table, hoping the tablecloth was hiding him. Chuuya drunkenly rambles quiet as the two enter the kitchen, the redhead blinking slowly as he looked around the room. What? Where'd he go? Chuuya staggered throughout the kitchen. Chuuya-san, I think it's time to go to bed. I think you've had a bit too much to drink. Octogawa tried to drag Chuuya out of the kitchen. Chuuya sat on the ground in protest, staring blankly at nothing in particular. He activated his ability, his red glow covering his entire body, keeping him in place. Octogawa shrugged, trying to pry the redhead off the floor. Chuuya-san, please. Octogawa almost exclaimed, slightly irritated. If Dazai could, he would be laughing his ass off at the situation. Did he leave? Chuuya asked to himself, his voice quiet, Dazai's breath catching in his throat. He left me again. Chuuya's voice broke, and so did Dazai's heart. Octogawa crouched down next to the redhead, his hand hesitantly resting on Chuuya's shoulder. He turned to see the Norette, his eyes glossy. Dazai couldn't see Octogawa's expression as his former apprentice's back was to the table, but it seemed Chuuya could see Dazai as blue eyes followed the hidden figure behind Octogawa. Chuuya's face lit up like a Christmas tree as he snuffed his... got past Dazai to the table. Octogawa to the table, the red glow around his body disappearing. Dazai! Dazai's heart almost exploded at the sound of Chuuya's voice exclaiming his name. It seemed no longer human or slacking off. Chuuya dragged the brunette from the table with way more strength than a drunk person should have. Octagawa's head whipped around at the sound of his ex-mentor's name, his eyes widening in a mixture of shock and confusion. Dazai-san? Octagawa barely made out. What are you doing here? His eyes widened even further before settling into a stunned but understanding expression. Dazai awkwardly laughed. Yeah. The three sat there in awkward silence as Chuuya refused to let go of Dazai's arms, fidgeting with the button on his sleeve. Just try not to tell anyone? Dazai scratched the back of his neck. Alright? Of course, Dazai-san. Octagawa answered immediately. Well, that didn't last long. The first thing Dazai was greeted with when entering the agency the next morning was a smirk from Rampo and a glance from Atsushi before he nervously turned back to his work. Odd. Dazai sat at his desk, noting the tense atmosphere coming from his mentee. Dazai-san? Atsushi finally spoke up. Yes? Dazai turned to the were-tiger. I was just wondering. Well, I wasn't going to say anything at first, but then Octagawa didn't say anything. Atsushi stumbled over his words. Octagawa didn't tell me anything. Nope. Atsushi just spit it out. Are you dating Nakahara? Atsushi quickly yelled/questioned, grabbing the attention of the whole office. The entire room fell into silence. Kunikita sighed. Atsushi, there's no way, let alone a mafia executive, would date Dazai. Yeah, I am. The room would be entirely silent if it wasn't for the sound of Kunikita's pen hitting the ground. Or maybe it was his sanity. The silence was broken by a sigh coming from Yoshino as she handed a bill to a very smug and victorious Rampo. Chuuya groaned as he laid his head down on his desk, shutting his eyes as hard as he could. His head was killing him. Fuck, how much did I drink last night? Dazai decided to inform Chuuya of their little visitor last night when he was getting ready. Yeah, maybe don't drop important information on someone when they're trying to swallow headache medication. After recovering from the choking and discussing the fact that the cat was now out of the bag and would definitely run around, they came to an agreement. They weren't going to announce their relationship, but they also weren't going to hide it. Chuuya reluctantly lifted his head as his phone started to buzz. Mackerel. Chuuya groaned as he accepted the call and put it on speaker, the other man's sweet voice echoing through the empty office. Hey, Chibi. Dazai greeted through the phone. He never calls Chuuya at this hour. What do you want? Chuuya groaned again. Are we dating? What kind of stupid question is that? Did he take those mushrooms again? Chuuya decided to interrogate the brunette, that protective side of him coming out again. He'd been a lot more caring towards the brunette these past few months. No, nothing of the sort. Just answer the question, Chibi. Yes? Multiple voices were heard from the other end of the line, and Dazai seems to say something along the lines of, told you. Thank you, Chuuya. Dazai sing-songed as he hung up. What the hell? There you go. Proof as requested. Dazai dramatically gestured as he slipped his phone back into his pocket. Well, I'll be damned, Yoshino chuckled. I never thought someone like you could score someone like Nakahara. You didn't blackmail him, did you? This isn't one of your messed up pranks. Kunikita skeptically looked at Dazai. Guys, at least have a little faith in me, Dazai exclaimed. He was partners with Mr. Fancy Hat for like 3 years in the Mafia, so they've known each other for 7. Rampo spoke up. 7 years? Kunikita asked dumbfounded. Yep, met when we were 15, Dazai answered cheerfully. I'm surprised he dealt with you for this long, Kunikita bluntly stated. Dazai gasped dramatically. I can't believe you'd say that, Kunikita. I'm a wonderful person to be around. Not if you keep this up, Kunikita retorted. He's not wrong, Dazai. Rampo spoke up again. Though I'm surprised it took you this long to get together. You claim to hate each other, but you radiate but you seem to radiate sexual tension whenever the two of you are in the same room together," he laughed. Dazai turned to Rumpo and gave him a look as if to remind him of a certain raccoon-owning author. Rumpo scowled and turned away, pink dusting his cheeks. "Wow, okay, thank you, English." "Well, if you're done interrogating me, I'd love to be left alone," Dazai smiled. Yeah, Yoshino stated before returning to the infirmary before yelling back, "You better invite me to the wedding." Dazai already had a pair of headphones resting on his head, blasting music, but that didn't stop the small smile grazing his lips. Maybe one day. Okay, everyone, that was the end of The Life We Could Have Lived, This Life Was Made For Us. I absolutely love this fic. I will repeat it time and time again, but this fic is amazing. So if you can, just head down to the description, click the link, and leave some kudos on this fic because it is absolutely amazing. Thank you Zen11 for letting me read this fic because it's peak quality. It's peak Soukoku quality. Anyway, I'm going to be releasing a video with the whole book, the whole fic, just purely the whole fic, and I hope you guys like that. I asked on my community page a couple of days ago and you guys seem to like the idea, so I'll be doing that in the next few days. Anyway, make sure to take care of yourself and I'll see you guys later. Bye!